Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you've got a background in science or pharmacy and you're kind of itching to transition out of those traditional roles into a dynamic, high-paying corporate career, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're laying out a comprehensive roadmap to becoming a patent analyst. This is a path that perfectly bridges the gap between your hard-earned scientific knowledge and the incredibly lucrative world of intellectual property law. Let's be honest for a second. Are you just tired of the lab? So many life science, biotechnology, and pharmacy grads eventually hit this wall. They wake up and realize they really don't want to spend the next 30 years doing repetitive lab experiments, dealing with grueling site inspections, or just pushing through the daily grind of pharmaceutical sales. If you're looking for the ultimate solution, a laptop-driven corporate career that actually values your specialized degree while offering international exposure, then intellectual property is absolutely your answer. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to hit the catalysts driving demand, demystify what IP actually is, and dive into the daily reality of the work. Then we'll open up the toolbox of skills you need, check out the salaries and top employers, and finally, look at how the 2027 patent agent exam can totally secure your future. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The catalyst. Demand for IP. Let's see exactly why intellectual property is just booming right now, especially for life science graduates. Just think about the sheer scale of this industry for a second. We are talking about over 3 million patents being filed globally right now. That's a massive number. But here's the kicker for you. Pharmaceuticals and biotech make up a solid 18% of this high-stakes global market. Every single day, companies are pouring billions of dollars into R&D for new drugs, vaccines, you name it, and they absolutely must protect those investments. To do that, they need people who actually understand the science. They need you. Moving on to Section 2, Foundation, Demystifying IP. Before we get into specific job titles, we really need to lay down some quick foundational concepts. So what actually is intellectual property? Basically, it's legal protection for creations of the mind. Think of it like a piece of physical real estate, right? But instead of a house, you're protecting a brand new chemical compound or a cutting-edge drug delivery method. In the ultra-competitive pharma world, locking down these exclusive rights, usually for around 20 years, is absolutely paramount. It literally stops competitors from just copying a billion-dollar medicine the second it hits the market. Now, you'll hear different terms thrown around a lot, so let's set the record straight on patents versus trademarks. A trademark, that protects brand names and logos, the commercial identity of a product. A patent, on the other hand, protects the actual technological product, or the process itself. So, like a new drug formulation or a cheaper way to manufacture an active pharmaceutical ingredient. For our roadmap today, our focus is strictly on that technological side. We're talking all about patents. Okay, take a look at this timeline. It maps out the pharma patent lifecycle and shows exactly where an analyst fits in. In Phase 1, pre-research, you're doing gap analysis. Basically, you're searching databases to tell your R&D scientists where the white space is so they don't waste years on ideas that are already out there. Then, in Phase 2, once they actually invent something, you help draft the patent to capture the legal scope of that science. And finally, Phase 3, drug release. Here, you're making sure your company has global protection and the freedom to operate in foreign markets without accidentally stepping on other people's patents. Which brings us to Section 3, the reality, roles and daily work. Now that we've got the life cycle down, what do these specific job titles actually mean? And what does the daily grind look like? All right, it is time to bust the biggest myth in this industry. You absolutely do not need a law degree to crush it in this field. Seriously, a patent agent is someone with a science or engineering degree who files and drafts patents directly with the patent office. A patent attorney, however, is someone who also holds a law degree, like an LLB, and their job is to litigate infringement cases in court. So for all the drafting, the analyzing, and the strategy, your science degree is literally your golden ticket. So what are you actually doing all day as an analyst? Well, the bulk of the work, around 65% of it, is analytics and searching. You're constantly reading scientific literature and analyzing patent claims. Another 25% is drafting the actual patent documents. And that final 10%, that's strategy. This is the really cool stuff, like investigating U.S. Hatch-Waxman paragraph IV filings. That's where you help a generic pharma company challenge an existing patent to secure a super lucrative 6-month generic market exclusivity. It's high stakes, it's fascinating, and it's like solving a giant puzzle. All right, Section 4,
the toolbox, skills, and tools. To do this high-stakes work, you need the right skills. Let's shift gears and open up the toolbox you'll need to master this workflow.
The art of patent searching is actually a really structured process. First, you analyze the legal claims. Then you formulate precise keywords. Step 3 is super crucial. You use Boolean operators, and or not, along with wildcards. Let's say you're searching to see if combining paracetamol and aspirin is truly non-obvious. If a lower dose of that combination gives a radically better effect than a high dose of the individual drugs, that's a non-obvious synergy. You'd use these specific search operators to prove that absolutely no one else has documented it first.
And where exactly are you running all these searches? You'll be living in essential databases like Google Patents, WIPO's PatentScope, the USPTO database, and the European Patent Office's Espacenet. Now, let me reassure you right here, right now. You do not need heavy coding, machine learning, or Python skills for this role. None of that. What you actually need is strong analytical, reading comprehension, and the ability to navigate these free databases to pull out key insights.
Section 5. The reward, salary, and companies. We've covered the work, we've covered the tools. Now for the stuff you've probably been waiting for, the financial payoff and who is hiring.
You actually have an incredibly diverse range of potential employers here. You've got knowledge process outsourcing companies, or KPOs, like Clarivate and Evalueserve, and they hire massive teams of analysts. Then there are specialized IP law firms like Inventip and TT Consultants, who are literally always on the hunt for science grads. You also have in-house IP departments at global pharma MNCs, think Sun Pharma or Cipla. And finally, you can even go the government route, working directly as an examiner for the Indian Patent Office. And the stability and growth potential here, it's fantastic. As a fresher stepping into an analyst role at an MNC or a KPO, you're looking at an expected starting salary around 5 lakhs per annum. If you decide to go the government route and clear the exam to become a patent examiner, you're looking at a starting package of around 80,000 rupees a month. This is a highly stable, lucrative corporate income, and the best part is, it only grows as your expertise deepens. Finally, Section 6, the future, the 2027 exam. Let's look at the final, actionable step of this roadmap. How do you totally cement your status and accelerate your career? Before we get into the nitty-gritty of the exam, I really want you to internalize this quote from our source material. Crafting patents is an art to express your scientific knowledge. I love that. Never forget that your scientific background is your absolute greatest asset here. You aren't abandoning your science by leaving the lab. You are elevating it. You're using it as the foundational language to write legal protections that generate millions in revenue. To reach the absolute highest tier, you really want to target the 2027 Patent Agent exam. And here's a crazy fact. Non-science grads are strictly forbidden from taking this exam. Yep, it is 100% reserved for people with science or engineering degrees. Right now, there are only about 4,000 to 5,000 registered patent agents in all of India. That represents a huge bottleneck of talent, which means massive demand for you. Passing this exam lets you file patents directly and completely opens the door to highly paid independent consulting. Well, we've reached the end of our roadmap. The demand is massive, the tools are totally accessible, and the financial rewards are waiting for you. So the question is, are you ready to bridge the gap between science and law and finally take control of your career? The databases are free and waiting. What will be the very first patent you search for today?